Candace Fox here, your spiritual coach and energy healer. Hi, everybody. So good to see you. I am ecstatic. Today, I am getting all prepped and ready to go to my backpacking trip in Kauai, and everything's set, everything's weighed. Right now, 4 pound pack, which, after about 8 hours is going to feel pretty darn heavy. But I'm really excited and ready for adventure and being off the grid. Um, what's awesome is that this will be my second time I've spent Thanksgiving in Kalalau, which is amazing because the last time I was there were people that hiked in Turkey, some people, they all gathered in like the big part of the woods and all cooked for each other, and we had like everyone was just sharing food, and it was like an amazing experience. I don't know what it's going to be like this year, but I'm just really excited to be there and just be grateful to my body, to my health, to being able to do a freaking 11-mile hike, and being able to enjoy my husband and our time together, and meeting new people, because that's always awesome. And actually, I've met a couple new people that I've never ever met just online that are literally picking us up in Kauai, taking us around, helping us run errands, having lunch with us, and just having a good time. I'm like, that is amazing, right? To be able to just meet random people that are super sweet and connecting on such deep levels. And so that's something that's awesome. And not only that, my girlfriend and I, Adriana of Forte Fitness, we are conducting a holiday Mamacita challenge, which is actually happening on Thanksgiving. And we are starting this because we understand how important it is to keep consistent and supportive of ourselves, especially throughout the holidays, right? We get into this place where we run around with our heads cut off. We feel like there's no time, and we don't even take care of ourselves. We put ourselves on the back burner, which then we feel the effects of it after the holidays, and we're like exhausted, tired, and we look drained. So let's not let that happen this time around, right? Let's get into a place where self-care is one of the most important things for us, along with mindfulness, along with feeling our emotions, and along with taking time for our spiritual selves. Because think about it. Again, December is a time for that Sagittarian energy. It is guru, spiritual like energy, like pouring on us. I mean, that's kind of when Jesus' birthday is, right? So we want to be in a place where we're connected to spirit, so we can have these beautiful downloads that are in alignment with the goals and the dreams that we wish to create. So think about January again. I said this last time, but January is that Capricorn goat energy climbing up the mountain, like I'll be in a few days, where we're literally getting from one end, point A, to point B. And the thing is no matter how I get there, from kayaking to hiking to flying in, whatever the mechanism is, the intention is what matters. So if you are straight in your intentions, then you're going to have a little bit of a wavy pathway. So go towards what you prefer, not what you don't prefer. All right. Hello, Michelle. Thanks so much for jumping on. And for any of you that is here live, please comment and say hello. I'd love to see who's with me. So I'm going to do some spiritual clearing today because I need it. I know you need it. There's a lot of change in the air. And if you really look at it, there's a lot of people going crazy too. A lot of people are hitting the ceiling. And the only way through that ceiling is literally to let go of things that no longer serve them. But it's hard, right? When we identify so closely with these ideas of ourselves. And when we identify with them, we think it's us, but really it's not, because you are so much more than the identity, right? You are divine in being, in form. But we forget about that. We forget that we're all powerful, amazing spiritual beings having this human experience, and then we get caught in the box of the construction of ideas and labels that we have. Phoenix, what's up? Hi, Mandy. Thank you so much for jumping on. So I'm going to go into the charts here. I already prepped us to work, which I'm using my pendulum and my spiritual clearing charts. Kellyanne, you're here too. Thank you. I actually have someone here live with me, my assistant, so she's watching on the side. But we're going to look at some of the identities that it is time to take a look at, because we're still in that transformative time of Scorpio. We're in the ashes, kind of gathering up the pieces to say, well, okay, well, where am I? Who am I? What's going on? So if we can look at what identities we can begin to be aware of that might be operating that no longer serve us, it's going to really support us on such deeper levels as we go towards what we prefer. So here we go. Is there any programs that we need to look at with these identities we're holding on to? So we're going into what's called miscellaneous blocks chart, and we've got some conscious and subconscious memory, which makes a lot of sense, right? We have all these ideas about ourselves based on the experiences we have, based on the culture we grew up in, based on the society we lived in, and ultimately those systems have literally created a reality around us. And so when we have lived in those circumstances, we think that that's all there is, right? But if you grew up in the 1800s and you were like moving across the plains in a covered wagon with, thieves and, people doing all kinds of stuff, and that's what you grew up in, then you're going to have all this fear, you're going to have all this survival issues, you're going to have possible hope for maybe the gold rush and things like that. But ultimately, that's creating the reality. So imagine, take a moment and think about that. Like, the magnitude of what we are growing up in that's defining who we are today. And does that really serve us? And are we even questioning what we're agreeing to, right? If we're not questioning what is there, then how do we know it's true? How do we know it's true for us? Maybe we're following along blindly. That's not allowing us to go beyond the constructs of what's here. Because guess what? There's a lot of social injustice. Guess what? There's a lot of racism. There's a lot of this energy of entitlement out there, right? There's a lot of everything everywhere, and a lot of it's bubbling to the surface. And if we're not like really questioning where we are with these, we could be unconsciously agreeing to these items that don't really serve us. I'm going to give you an example that I actually just literally read about in my marriage and family therapy. And I love marriage and family therapy. I'm like so excited to be a therapist. And as I'm training and learning about this, what I'm reading is like something that has been confirmed within me for a long time. I've thought about this. And, I don't know if you know about this, but, psychologists, in order to get paid through insurance, have this model where it's according to like the medical scientific practices. Like, if you give a diagnosis, identify the problem, then provide a support for that problem, and you write it all out in your notes and you give it to the insurance company, guess what? They will pay you. If those diagnoses, identifications are not in the DSM, then the insurance company is like, no, that's going to be client out of pocket. So imagine, there's a lot of people right now that are unable to get marriage and family therapists. They're driven directly to maybe psychiatrics or psychologists, and basically they have to give them a diagnosis, whatever it might be. And so then they begin to identify with those terms, and then they see not really a hope, maybe the management of those symptoms, but nothing ever beyond, right? And so people get stuck in that idea, and then they aren't able to move out of that. And I was thinking, like, sometimes, like, how is the individual like able to move from that? So marriage and family therapy looks at the systems around them that basically contribute to an individual being that way. Because guess what? We have these interactive patterns with one another that actually begin to define how we be, right? Imagine when you're with your brother, how you're acting. Imagine with how your friend, how you're acting, and how those conversations impact you on the daily, right? So imagine the conversations you're having about politics or religion or whatever is out there, how that's affecting you and how you feel about things, right? This is the reality we're constructing. So if you're not questioning your reality, then you're trapped within that reality, right? So let's move beyond it and create something more that we prefer, because it's there. We're just hitting that ceiling right now. Jennifer, thank you so much for jumping on. It's so good to see you. All right, so what was I saying? These conscious and subconscious memories are literally, I want to say, coagulating in our brain and like creating a buffer in what we can see. So we want to begin to clear that so we can be curious about things and wonder what else is possible here. Because, I bet to those that lived in the 1800s, they couldn't even imagine or fathom the ideas of the internet or fast cars or airplanes flying here or there, right? And so maybe right here, right now, we're only thinking about what's here, but what's beyond it? What can happen beyond this reality? We don't even know, right? But if we question, maybe those answers will come. Awesome. It's cleared, accurate, complete. And what's affecting us? Yeah, I thought so. It's about 100% because we're kind of entrenched in it, right? We've basically learned it through school. We've learned it through our parents. We learned it through our peers. And, some of us are starting to question things, and that's where the awakening comes into place. So kudos to you that are finally saying, well, why do I believe in that? That's a good thing. All right. What else can we clear around programs of our identity? I'm going to the Rebirth of Conscious Mind chart, which is a really good one. Do we need to look at consciously made vows or levels of consciousness? Levels of consciousness. All right. Solidified patterns. And basically in bold, I wrote down, we are stuck in patterns. Guess what? If we're stuck in patterns, then it's really hard to see our way out. Like I remember when my husband and I get in fights, he's like, Candace, you have done this before and you keep doing it. And I'm like, no way. And he's like, you do. And I'm like, don't tell me what I'm doing. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm in a pattern. So if we're in the solidified pattern, we can't see the forest through the trees because it's something we habitually do, right? And so then that kind of can keep us from actually moving forward if we keep doing the same damn thing over and over and over again. So let's clear that energy so we can really come into a rebirth of our conscious mind and see things from a different level. Because once I began to see the patterns I was creating, I was like, damn, those were there for a really long time, and how do I get out of it? It's not always easy because it's like it's an automatic reaction response to whatever it is you're doing, whether it be talking to your parents, or maybe it is in how you eat your food, right? Or how you do or don't exercise. These patterns then rule our lives, and then it's hard to get out of it. We're just going on that hamster wheel over and over. But if we begin to be slightly aware and curious about that, then maybe, just maybe, we're like, oh, I am in a pattern. We can laugh at ourselves instead of get angry with others, and not self-punish, and maybe make a slight change to make something different, right? We can do that, that's for sure. All right, cleared, accurate, complete. And what percent is that affecting us? Another 100%. Yeah, so start to be curious about the ways you do things and see how and where it supports you or doesn't support you, because some of these patterns, yeah, doesn't work. Like for me, brushing my teeth is a good pattern, where some people don't brush their teeth all the time, right? And so maybe you want to make that a pattern, because those are like good things for your health and wellness. So let's keep going. Is there another program we can clear around identities? Where is it? We're going to soul energy programming charts. And what we're looking at is a dysfunction of the mind. And soul energy programming is basically where we're being programmed at this higher level. And when we have a dysfunction of our mind, it literally filters throughout our experience, because we think with this thing, right? But if we think with this thing, then we think that we are this thing, right? There's that whole quote there, I think, therefore I am, which actually, has been evolved into other states of understanding in a philosophical stance. But if we are thinking we are our mind and what we do, then we are missing the mark, because this is only this percentage. I actually just watched this video where this gentleman was talking about the brain, and he was saying like part of the brain, say like 25%, is this karma that we've accumulated from past lives and the things that we've experienced and done, right? And the other, I guess, 75% is like no karma. It's like a place of like bliss, a place of, all the things that you would want. But we keep tapping into this part of our minds that repeats the stories over and over and over again, right? Whereas on the other side is where there is no problem, right? And in narrative therapy, which is how we tell the story, sometimes we focus so much on the problem, and we look at that problem and try to resolve it around the problem, but maybe the solution is beyond the problem. Maybe it doesn't have to deal with the problem at all, but we don't focus on what we prefer. We focus on what brings us all these horrible feelings that we don't want to feel, because maybe that's there for us to finally feel and not think about feeling, but feel it so that then we can get to the blissful side, right? So we kind of entrap ourselves with these thoughts of what we don't prefer, and then we hold on to the feelings because we don't want to feel them, and then it produces some kind of ailment in our body. And all the while, keeping us stuck in our identification of ourselves, right? So let's stop doing that and maybe make a change into what we prefer, so that we can open up to that 75% of our brain that is like open to possibilities, open to bliss, open to solutions that may take us away from the problem. Because when I've noticed I've done that, it's almost like instantaneously, like this realization occurs, and it's like, oh, I can't believe I was so fixated on this, when this one over here like makes so much more sense and is beyond what I thought I could imagine, right? So let's let that go and start to walk towards what we do prefer, so we can give ourselves an opportunity for this new 2023 year coming up quick and fast on doing things in the way that we wish, right? So let's go ahead and clear that energy on all levels and layers. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Whew, I don't know about you, but that one was a big one for me. I definitely am rewriting some of my narrative and moving it towards actually like things in between the problem are actually the strengths and the resilience that we do have, that we actually bypass because we're so fixated on the problem, right? So maybe, just maybe, if we kind of look at what we move through, we're actually quite brave. We're actually quite resourceful, but we don't always recognize that, and we don't always point that out as we're moving through issues. So take a moment for yourselves and look at the strengths that you have developed in the face of these so-called problems, right? And I also took this wonderful seminar that kind of talked about the difference between problems and circumstances, and I love it because the circumstances are things that just happen. Like, I put the pen on the table, and then I took out a piece of paper, and then I started writing, right? Whereas the problem is I couldn't find the damn pen. It took me hours to find the pen and put it on the paper, and now the ink was not working. I was feeling frustrated, and then now I'm feeling angry because I can't do what I want to do. There's the problem, right? Where the circumstances were just circumstances, but we added our our issues to the problem, right? So maybe start to see what's actually occurring and where you're adding in the problem. Very profound. Anyhow, I'm getting higher selves like, that's enough. You're going to explode their brains. So we don't want to do that, right? So work on those three things that we cleared there. Really contemplate it and be grateful that we have this magnificent mind that can go beyond these things, beyond these identities, that can create all these beautiful things for our future and for our present selves. So just want to also check in if you guys had any aha moments or things that like really sparked up with this clearing, please place in the comments and I will be sure to respond. Although I will be off grid starting from Sunday to Saturday, and if you leave a comment, I will answer it later. But would love to know how this supports you. And if you are wanting to be a part of the Mamacita challenge that Adriana and I are putting together on Thanksgiving Day, join us. You'll get workbooks and journal prompts to support you on being grateful and other topics and on the themes that we're going to be presenting around community, holidays, understanding yourself, working on your fitness. You'll also get live videos on workouts because that's always important. I mean, new and creative ways to move your body. Yes, please. And also, you'll get support from myself and Adriana. I'll be doing some meditation, spiritual clearings to get you through this wonderful end of year season. So I am placing the link in the comments there. I really hope you join us. It is a paid program for 6 weeks. Check it out. Let me know if you have any questions, and I can't wait to see you guys again. I will not be here for next Friday because, of course, I will be off the grid. So I will reconvene after the Thanksgiving holiday. Thank you so much, and I will talk to you soon. Love, light, and aloha.